In the previous step, we have created a base CDS view which exposes the sales order information. Now, if we add the annotation to generate the OData service, this CDS view will only give us the functionality of a get call. So the CDS view by default, it only gives you the get call using which you will be able to read the information. But if we have to enable a transaction capabilities such as create, update or delete, then we need to generate a BOPF object so that the BOPF object will take the responsibility of creating the order um, or updating the record or deleting the data. So to enable the transaction capabilities in the CDS view, using the CDS view, we need to create a business object which will be generated of type BOPF, a BOPF business object. And to create the BOPF business object on top of the CDS view, we just have to add a few annotations of type object model, and based on the information that we provide, it is going to create the BOPF object for us. So first thing, what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a BOPF business object on top of the CDS view. So I'm going to add this annotation at object model, and I'm going to specify this model category as a business object. So we are specifying that we wanted to build a business object. Now, if you are going to create a BOPF business object, then the basic requirement is that that particular business object, it's supposed to have at least one node. Here, whatever is the entity set that we are going to generate from this particular CDS view, we are going to use that particular data set as a root node of our business object. So I'm just going to add one more annotation saying that whatever is the CDS view, you just create a root node for that by specifying this annotation composition root as a true. Then we also have to define our BOPF object, that what are the whether the transaction capabilities allowed or not. So we basically wanted this transaction processing to be enabled. That is, we needed the create, read, update and delete operations. So in this, I'm just going to add this transaction processing enabled option as true so that we have the transaction processing enabled. Then I'm going to specify what are the transaction processing that I wanted to specify, whether I wanted to have the create operation or I wanted to have the update operation or I wanted to have the delete operation. So for our example, we are going to need all of it. So I'm just going to mark create enabled as true, and then I'm going to mark update enabled as true, and then I'm going to specify delete enabled as true. So what we did so far is we added an annotation specifying that we wanted to build a BOPF object on top of this, and whatever is the CDS view, we wanted that to be the root node, and we specified the transaction processing has to be enabled, and in the transaction we specified we need the create option, update option and the delete option. Now we have specified that we needed the create option, update option and delete option. So now when we are going to create a new record, where does this particular record is going to get stored? So in the previous chapter, we have created a database table which is going to store the sales order information. So I will just specify this table as a write persistence table, which means in this particular table, whatever the information that I'm going to pass, that has to be stored. And this particular table that we have specified already contain all these fields that we have specified. So we are basically building everything on top of that. So I'm just specifying a write persistence table as this. So if you are going to build a Fiori application with a draft enabled capabilities, then you will also be specifying one more annotation, uh, write draft persistence, where the draft entry will be stored. So now we defined everything. We defined that we need to build a business object. It has to be the root element, and we specified the different transaction capabilities that we want and where this information is supposed to be stored. Also, we also have to define what is the key field as well, which we will be defining using this object model annotation using the semantic key property. So we basically wanted this sales order field that we have defined here as the key field. So we added a few set of annotation, which is in which we have defined how the business object BOPF object is to be generated. So once we activate this CDS view, it's supposed to create the business object for us in the backend. Okay, so now if you go to the business object transaction, Bob. So if you go to the business object transaction Bob slash and BOB, in the custom business object, you should be able to see the business object generated with the same name as our CDS view. So as you can see here, a business object is generated with the same name as our CDS view, zdemo underscore I underscore S underscore transaction. And if you open this object in the same name of as a CDS view, you find a root node, and using this by default in the BOPF object, we have all these options such as create, read, update, and delete. So now using this BOPF object, we will be enabling the transaction capabilities. So we'll test our BOPF object. So to test the BOPF object, we'll go to the transaction slash n BOBT. So if you do a get call now, we won't be seeing any information as the table is empty. So let's see if the create functionality is enabled. So I'll just click on this add node instance. So this has created a new record. So let's say for example, we will call the sales order number as 1001 and business partner, let's start with 1001. Currency code is INR or let's say USD 10,000. And billing status, let's say 0, let's leave it. Okay, so now the transaction is saved. It means it has created a new record. Let's create one more. Let's say we will create it for the same business partner. So it has created a two record. So you can also test the edit functionality. Let's say for example, if I wanted to edit the first record, then I go and click on change mode. So this will log the transaction first. Then whatever the changes that you're going to do, that change is going to be updated and the lock will be released. So the update functionality works as well. So you can select it and you can test the delete functionality by clicking on this remove icon. So now that particular entry has been deleted as well. So to check the get functionality once again, you can reload your BOPF object in the test transaction. Then you can select, okay, so we don't have the key value. So we'll go to the CDS view and let's check the CDS view. So now you can see the data is available here, but why the data is not deleted yet? Okay, maybe we didn't save the transaction. That's the reason why it's not deleted. Yeah, after delete we did not save the transaction, because of which the data is not deleted, but maybe you can check it. So now what we have done is we have created our CDS view, and on top of the CDS view we have added a bunch of annotation that generated the business object for us, and that business object has this create, read, update and delete functionality enabled by default. So now on top of this we can create our own consumption view where we'll be adding the annotations as how it is supposed to look in the UI, and based on those annotation we will build the Fiori list report application.